More delays to the Sir Jim Ratcliffe takeover, and reports are emerging that he's made a big U-turn on his John Murtough decision. Is this going to impact Paul Mitchell? Is Murtough staying or not staying? Because some sources are saying Murtough's been sacked, other sources are saying he's nowhere near the sack and he's going to stay. What's the difference between the Arnold situation and the Mertes situation? Apparently the reason Richard Arnold was already sacked is because he fell out with the Glazers, and that Mertes has a good relationship with the Glazers, and that's why he hasn't been sacked yet. We've got more takeover delays. Why are the takeover delays? Is it to do with Qatar? Absolutely not. We'll talk about that Qatar BS. Again, we're going to talk about Todibo. Lots of reports coming out saying that United likely to make a move for Todibo in January, but I would take that with a pinch of salt. Varane exit. What's the latest from that? Bayern Munich, Saudi Arabia. What's Fabrizio Romano said in that? What's the latest on Marcus Leonardo? And the big injury problem at United. So please do hit that like button and, of course, subscribe down below if you're new. But it was said by James Ducker today that John Murtough expects to be part of the transition with Ineos and is hoping to make additions of his own Manchester United existing recruitment team. So this was the story that a lot of people are saying, what do you mean? Why is Murtough going to be a part of this? Now, it does say Murtough's going to be a part of the transition, so it might be that Murtough's here until the end of the season, then he leaves just as we kind of transition and we build our own replacement for Murtough. But that was sort of what was said. But it was said that Murtough wants to build his own recruitment team, and a lot of people are like, It was said, it is understood that Murtough expects to work with Ineos during the transitions process once Ratcliffe's estimated 1.3 billion deal for a quarter stake in the club has been concluded, and potentially beyond if his role evolved in any way that worked for both parties. Interesting. It was then said rumours over the past week that Mertes' office had already been cleared out, had been met with bemusement by colleagues. So a lot of people like Samuel Luckhurst, a few other journalists like the Manchester Evening News, a couple of other decent sources, I think like Rob Dawson or ESPN or someone from ESPN, have all basically said, no, Mertes gone, Mertes is going to be sacked, it's just a moment of time. And now James Ducker is coming out saying, naturally, Mertes is going to be part of the transition period. So I think what James Ducker means is Murtough will be here to the end of the season. He's not going to go right away like Arnold. And then at the end of the season, I think Ineos will sort of take over because there's a lot for Ineos to do. And we'll just include Murtough in the transition. And as we kind of build that. Or it could just be that Murtough is going and this is absolute BS. Or it could be that there is plans for Murtough to stay. There is reports that actually the Glazers are going to have a bigger stay than we think. They still have a bit of sporting stay. And maybe Murtough won't go. Maybe Murtough will build his own recruitment team. All I care about is making sure Paul Mitchell is the guy doing the transfers and not John Murtough. If he's here to the end of the season, haven't got a big issue with that. But if he's here next season and he's got big involvement next season and he's still failing, I'm thinking, what on earth? Get Paul Mitchell in. That's my honest opinion. Get Paul Mitchell in. Now, why did Arnold leave and not Murtough? And that is because Arnold's relationship with the Glazers has gone. And there was a feeling that Arnold had to go, and Arnold going was partly a Glazer decision and a Ratcliffe decision. It was said, while there was a feeling among staff that Arnold had begun to disengage over recent weeks and relations with Joel Glazer had deteriorated somewhat, it is understood there has been no sense of that with Murtough. It was said that Richard Arnold's departure was seen as the first of what's expected to be a number of changes at senior level by Ratcliffe, although sources stressed that Joel Glazer and the Man United co-chairman remains the majority shareholder and ultimate decision maker. Big red flag. Joel Glazer, co-chairman, ultimate decision maker. Not good. I've always said, look, I'm happy Ratcliffe's going to come in and bring Blanc and bring Mitchell and make sporting changes, have sporting control. But will Joel Glazer have the ultimate say at the end of the day? Will Joel Glazer still be pulling the strings? How much change will Ratcliffe be able to make? That is the big worrying thing for me. But what they're basically saying is Arnold fell out with the Glazers, so Arnold and probably Ratcliffe decided, so the Glazers and probably Ratcliffe decided Arnold will be gone. Murtough seems to have a decent relationship with them. Looks like they're going to make the decision on Murtough later on. I think Murtough will go, but I think maybe Murtough gets to the end of the season. He's not gone right away. But we just need Paul Mitchell, man. We just need Paul Mitchell, but we know that Richard Arnold, we've done loads of videos on it, that Richard Arnold had been falling out with the Glazers. His relationship was quite low. The Greenwood situation meant that he fell out with staff. But what was said by James Ducker in the Telegraph was that some people close to the process fear it could be next week before Sir Jim Ratcliffe's 25% stake in United's announced, and that Ratcliffe had hoped to complete a deal by now, wanted to get it wrapped up by Thanksgiving Thursday, but some people think it could be another week before the announcement. So there is delays to Ratcliffe, which of course has started the Qatar rumour mill. All these sources on Twitter saying it's Sheikh Yassim, he's held up the takeover. I wanted a full sale. I wanted Qatar, but I'm not stupid. We've been told from Romano, we've been told from credible sources, the Ratcliffe deal is basically done. We're waiting for an announcement. It's when Fabrizio Romano gave us the here we go for Højlund, the here we go for Leonardo, and the here we go for Mount. And we knew that Højlund was going to be announced at Old Trafford on that Friday or Saturday or whenever that pre-season game was. We had to wait 4 days for Højlund to be announced. It's Jim Ratcliffe. We've got a here we go. We're just waiting for him to be announced. He will come to United. Now, who will Jim Ratcliffe bring to United? Well, it feels like he's going to bring in Todibo. Now, for Chayes, which I would say is definitely a take with a pinch of salt sauce, but we know that there is a lot of credible links to Todibo and he's a player of interest. But for Chayes, I've said a few interesting things about Todibo to United. They claim that when Ratcliffe takes over footballing operations at Old Trafford, he'll make a €40 million offer for Todibo, which United have a strong linking to. And given his relationship with Nice, that bid will be accepted. That's what they've basically said. He's going to offer €40 million for Todibo, and that's going to be accepted. And it was said, given the injury problems, Eric Ten Hag had in defence with the injury to Martinez and the apparent distrust of Rafael Varane at centre-back, a move for a centre-back is going to be a priority for Ratcliffe, and it's sort of saying that Todibo could be the guy to replace Varane. Now, I think what we do in January depends on how quick this Ratcliffe deal gets ratified, which feels like it's being delayed. Slow FC. We're slow at everything. We're slow at transfers. We're slow at takeovers. Something about Man United being so slow and dragging every process on. I've always said this, the January transfer window, I think players like young striker, young right winger, young centre-backs are wanted, but I think it depends on who goes. Will Martial go? Will Varane go? Will Donny go? Will Sancho go? How much money is raised? What's the situation with Ratcliffe and more? But talking of who goes, there's a lot of rumours that Varane could leave. It was said that Bayern Munich had reportedly held discussions over a January move for Varane. Now, Plettigol said that Bayern Munich have considered Varane, they've held discussions, and Bayern Munich have been told that he can go in January, but it's going to take £20 to £30 million, €30 million. I think that's very much United saying to Bayern Munich, we like Varane, we have plans for Varane, but you know what? If you're going to come in and give us £25 million in January for Varane, we both say no. And I get that. I like Varane. I wouldn't sell Varane, but if you're going to get £30 million for Varane in January and that's going to be invested in Todibo, then I would sell Varane because Varane is 30 and Todibo is 22, 23. We've got to think about the future. Now, what did Fabrizio Romano say on Varane? Fabrizio Romano says that Varane could soon start to get a lot more playing time, but the situation could change if they receive an important proposal in January. He said, as previously reported, the message on Rafael Varane remains very clear. It's a tactical decision for him not to start games at the moment. He's saying it's not because there's an issue. It's a tactical decision because Ten Hag thinks that he doesn't suit the left-hand side and him and Maguire don't complement each other well because of his lack of abilities to play the ball out from the back. Now, what Romano is saying is, look, if there's an offer for Varane in January, that situation could change. There's rumours of Varane and Casemiro leaving in January. Fabrizio Romano said Casemiro won't leave in January, but he said Varane could if there's an offer. And when you've got such a good player like Varane, there could be an offer there as well. And I wouldn't say no to a big offer if it meant that we would get Todibo in or Antonio Silva or a good replacement for Varane. But Varane is a good player. He's been one of our best players. He's not playing at the moment, but before that, he was our best player this season. Last season, he was one of our best players. We missed him so much when he got injured. So, for me, I don't want to sell Varane. I like Varane. I want him to get games. I want him to play, and hopefully he will. But as I've said, can't turn down 30 million if it goes into Todibo. Another player that United are looking at, and Arsenal, is Marcus Leonardo, who could be available for 20 million. According to 90-minute, Arsenal and United have recently scouted the young talented striker. He's got 21 goals and could cost around 20 million. And we know that Man United need to bring in someone to assist Rasmus Højlund. Now, Manchester United were looking at him in the summer, but they didn't make the move in the summer. And the reason they didn't make the move in the summer is because Marcus Leonardo decided to stay at Santos and help them out until the end of the season. There is rumours and reports that Man United could go back in from in January, particularly with Anthony Martial rumoured to be leaving Manchester United in the January window. I think if Martial leaves, there's a chance for Leonardo or Taremi, or probably just a crap loan deal because that's what we do. I think if Sancho leaves, maybe there's a chance for Nico Williams, and I think Varane leaves, we'll probably get Todibo. But one of the biggest problems at United this season is injuries. One of the reasons we need to sign so many players is just because we're like, oh, we've got so many injuries. Varane gets injured left, right and centre. Mount's been injured. Shaw's been injured. Martinez has been injured. Højlund's now injured. There's been 196 injuries in the Premier League. That's a 15% increase compared to the last 4 seasons. There's a big problem with injuries in the Premier League, and that's because games are being stop-start because of VAR. That's because of the crazy international breaks. We're in November. We've had 3 international breaks where they have to play pointless games against Malta. Do you know what I mean? What was the point of watching England in this international break? Was that international break needed? What they need to do is they need to stop do an international break in October, do an international break in March and have the summer. Stop this September international break. Stop this November international break. Instead of having 4, have 2 international breaks. This, what's it called? European Cup of Nations or whatever it's called. Pointless. Euros, World Cup, qualifiers, that's all that's important. Stop the silly internationals. Stop adding crazy minutes of stoppage time. Remember, these players are human. Stop doing these 5-minute stop-starts of VAR. The fixture list is insane. It's insane. They're not robots. And it winds me up. It really winds me up that how much players are getting injured at the moment. And I think the football is one of the worst associations out there. It's so corrupt. It's so money obsessed. Man City will probably get away with cheating because it's so money obsessed. But it just treats the players like robots. It's all about how much money they can make, how many games they can put on. And we need to protect these players. Because Man United have been hit with more injuries this season than ever. And it's not good enough. Anyway, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Let me know your thoughts on all the news. I'm hoping we go for Todibo and Nico Williams in January or Marcus Leonardo. It has been said by the Daily Mirror today that Bayern Munich have been told it's possible to sign Varane. I would keep an eye on the Varane January situation, and then that would mean that Todibo could potentially happen. But I have to say that the news on Mertes staying is not what we want to see. Thank you for watching.